Okay, now we do skill check to the questions, the first 4 questions. Okay, check that one side of the equation is a 0. This one is not. So I'm going to bring over to 3x minus 2 squared x minus 2 equals to 0. So I have put one side to be equals to 0. So all of them are having one side of the equation equals to 0, and so I can use factorization to factorize the left hand side. Then after that I use now factor law to get my answer. Okay, so this is a general form of a quadratic equation. This kind is the easiest. 3x, x, 1 and negative 2. Okay, so I will have 6x plus x, so that's negative 5x. So here I factorize it to be 3x plus 1, x minus 2 equals to 0. So either 3x plus 1 is a 0 or x minus 2 is a 0. So here x is negative 1/3 or x equals to 2. Okay, we have to factorize it because this is not a perfect square, so we will use the cross method to do. Okay, next, when you expand this out, there will be a constant term, and this constant term can be simplified with this one. Okay, so we expand this, x times x, x squared, x times 3, 3x, negative 1 times x is negative x, negative 1 times 3 is negative 3, minus 12 equals to 0. So simplify to x squared plus 2x minus 15 equals to 0. Factorize now. 5 times 3, 15. I need a plus here, so I have a plus here and a minus here, so that the middle term is a plus. So I factorize it to be x plus 5 times x minus 3 equals to 0. Using now factor law, either the first factor is a 0 or the second factor is a 0. So if the first factor is a 0, my answer is x equals to negative 5. If my second factor is a 0, my x is equals to 3. Okay, third question. I am not going to expand again. Okay, the reason why I don't expand is if I were to expand, I'm wasting a lot of time. Okay, I can see actually here the 2x plus 7 is a common factor for both expressions. So I'm going to take the 2x plus 7 out. So bring out common factor. So first term is left with x, second term is left with negative 3. So I have x minus 3 times 2x plus 7 equals to 0. Using now factor law again, either the first factor is a 0 or the second factor is a 0. If the first factor is a 0, my answer will be x equals to negative 3.5. If the second factor is a 0, my x will be equals to 3. So these are my answer. Okay, same thing over here. I can see that this term and this term are the same. So I'm going to bring the common factor out. When I bring the common factor out, I have x minus 2 as a common factor. So this first term will become 3 times x minus 2 and then minus x. So when you multiply x minus 2 back into this factor, you will see the first term is 3 times x minus 2 squared, and this one times this will become x times x minus 2. Okay, x minus 2 cannot simplify, but the second bracket can simplify. 3x minus x, so it's 2x, and then minus 6 is 0. 2 is a common factor for the second factor, so we take 2 out, and so x minus 3 times x minus 2 is a 0. So this times this times this is a 0, so it must be either x minus 2 is a 0 or x minus 3 is a 0. So x is a 2 or x is a 3. So the answer is x equals to 2 or x equals to 3. Next, question 5 to 6. Okay, first is we check that one side of the equation is 0. It seems that all of them are not. So our first step for all the question is to bring common the terms all to the same side and leave one side equals to 0. So this is 4x plus 3 squared minus 25x minus 2 squared equals to 0. And this one is 4x minus 3 squared plus 4x plus 3 squared minus 26 equals to 0. And this one I multiply by x throughout because of the fraction. I will remove the fraction. So I'll get x squared plus 30 equals to 11x. Rearrange all to this one side and then in descending order of x. So I have this. So can you see that I have now 0 to one side of the equation for all these equations. Okay, so this is the most important step that you have to make sure. Okay, next, I'm going to simplify this. I'm going to factorize it. Okay, so factorization, you can see that 3x minus 2, 3x minus 2. So the common factor is 3x minus 2. So if I take out 3x minus 2, I am going to get 3 times 3x minus 2 for the first term. As for the second term, is plus 2 because 2 multiplied to this, you get into this term. Okay, 3x minus 2 cannot further simplify. So I will have this 3 times 3, 9x. 3 times 2, negative 6 plus 2, that will be negative 4 equals to 0. Using now factor law, either the first factor is a 0 or the second factor is a 0. So x is either 2/3 or x is equals to 4 over 9. So this is the question 5. Okay, question 6 is difficult. Okay, question 6, you can see that if you were to expand out the whole thing, it's going to be tedious. But can you see that this one is actually the a squared minus b squared. This 4 can be changed to 2 squared. This 25 can be changed to 5 squared. So we have a squared minus b squared can be factorized to a plus b times a minus b. Okay, so we are going to say that, okay, 2 times x plus 3 plus 5 times x minus 2, that is my a plus b. And then the second bracket, I have 2 times x plus 2 plus 3 minus 5 times x minus 2 is 0. Okay, can you see that this and this the same, this and this the same, only thing different is 1 plus 1 minus, so it's 1 plus 1 minus. Okay, simplify. So 2x, 5x, so together is 7x. 6 minus 10, so that is negative 4. Okay, 2x minus 5x, so that is negative 3x. 6 plus 10, so that is 16. Okay, so we have 7x minus 4 is a 0, or negative 3x plus 16 equals to 0. We apply now factor law, product of 2 equals to 0, either one of them must be 0. So x is equals to 4, 7, or x is equals to 5 and 1/3. Okay, this is easy. X and x, 30, we factorize it to be 6 and 5. If we want the middle term to be negative 11, so we'll take negative 6x and negative 5x. So x minus 6 times x minus 5 is a 0. So x minus 6 is a 0, or x minus 5 is a 0. So x is a 6, or x is a 5. Okay, so one more question. Here, this is 4x minus 3. This is 4x plus 3. They are not related, so there's no common factor to bring out. So what we can do is we have to expand, and then simplify. When we expand this, the middle term is negative 24x. When we expand this, the middle term is positive 24x. So one positive, one negative, they will cancel out each other. Okay, so let's expand. It's like a minus b squared will be a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. Then the other one will be a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Then minus 26 is 0. So 16x squared, you get 32x squared. 24x minus 24x is 0. And then you have 9 plus 9, 18, 18 minus 26. So that is minus 8 equals to 0. So 8 is a common factor. So 4x squared minus 1 equals to 0. So 8, this one can be factorized to 2x minus 1 times 2x plus 1 is 0. So 8 times this equals to 0. So 8 cannot be 0. So the 0 must come from either the first bracket or the second bracket. So x is a half, or x is a negative half. So these two are the answer.